I'm Dr. Sunil Richardson. I'm a maxillofacial and craniofacial surgeon. I practice out of South India and also out of the Middle East in the country of Oman from Muscat. I'm going to be answering some of the questions our viewers have asked on YouTube. I've been trying to reply a lot of the questions. Some questions are really demanding, or they require me to write long answers, so I've chosen one such question here. This question was asked by John Doe less than a day ago, and this is the question: with regard to orthognathic or jaw surgery planning that we do here at Richardson's. He says, how do you plan the exact movement? Like how many millimeters of advancement is required? Absolutely pertinent question. So we take cone beam CT scans, use the Sidexis German software, exactly know the position of the mandible and the maxilla, know the measurements at that time as soon as the patient arrives in the consultation. Thereafter, we take the models, and then with the help of all these data, I decide what is really best for the patient and discuss with them. So the software or the analysis does not determine everything. It just basically gives me the information that I need, and eventually I decide and I tell them that look, this might look good on you. A lot of my patients also do their own research. They probably want to show me whose face they would want to be looking like, or what kind of improvements they would want to have. And then based on all of this, we arrive at a treatment plan. When do we arrive at? When both me and the patient I'm consulting with, they're on the same page, right? It can happen that it doesn't happen once in a while, yeah. Because at that time we say, okay, let's plan this later. The patient would say, maybe I can think about it and get back, or I would have to reconsider my treatment plan or whatever. But very often we have this happening when we say, okay, this is what we need. From there it's very easy, because now we know what the patient and the surgeon desires to be changed on a particular face. Let's say the chin. It's easy if I just tell you about a simple thing. And we also have all the data as to where the chin is currently located. So it's very easy from there to tell us how many millimeters you would want to be advancing, or you would want to be reducing, or you'll want to be rotating or moving in a different direction. So that's the way we do that. So it's really precise. Another thing that helps in the precision is what is called as stereolithographic models and model analysis. With the help of these, we do what's called as mock surgery. Mock surgery is a surgery that's done prior, not on the patient's face, but on these models, prepare the splints, and then finally do the model, the surgery. So that's another thing. So the next question he asked is that about virtual surgery plan. This is exactly the mock surgery. So the virtual surgery plan is made out of the mock surgery that we do. We call it the mock surgery, right? Now, or the jaws are just moved backwards and forwards to fix the occlusion while the teeth are still crooked. The occlusion is a very, very important part of the whole planning. The teeth are on the jaws, and how well they come together is very, very essential in the exact planning, right from the word go. Therefore, we're not going to move the jaws in such a way that the teeth is going to be crooked so the patient is not able to eat food. That's not good planning. I think that's bad planning and even bad execution. So we don't do that. And also, we do the surgery first approach for a lot of patients, especially if you're looking at a Bimax. What happens then? We move the jaws in the correct position. However, our orthodontist and the team, we decide where the teeth must be also. Thereafter, once the surgery is done, the patient can go back and get the braces done. 30% of our patients roughly can or do go for braces second option after the jaw surgery. Alright, and then if this is so, then how is it going to improve aesthetics? So he's trying to say that if we're going to move the jaw first and then leave the teeth crooked, how does that improve aesthetics? I think I answered that question clearly, because we are looking at the teeth right from the word go, as the relation between the jaws and the teeth is a very, very totally intertwined one. You move the jaw with the segment of the teeth that moves. But remember, some parts of orthognathic jaw surgeries, we move the non-tooth bearing part of the jaws as well. So whatever it is, the the crux of the issue is when we're looking at the facial aesthetics, when we're looking at the golden ratio, when we're looking at the symmetry of the patient, we definitely always looking at the occlusion, because no face is really beautiful if it doesn't have the function. I have the triad for facial aesthetics. In the triad, the first one is the function, next proportion, symmetry. So therefore this question is very relevant. I hope I've given you a proper answer, Joe. I did mention to you that I try to make a short video and try to make you understand how we start off with the planning, with what philosophy, and how we end. Thank you.